While the mainstream media and liberal pundits appear to be crowning Joe Biden as the next president before the November election, Senator Rand Paul's former communications director Brian Darling says the mainstream media is ignoring facts that will give the president the edge. Here's One America's John Hines with more.
It's sort of maybe a contrarian viewpoint given the coverage of the mainstream media. But there is a case to be made, and some conservatives such as yourself are making it, about how and why President Trump, their prospects are still very positive for the election in November.
Yeah, there are a couple reasons for that. First of all, traditionally it's been very difficult to beat an incumbent president. It's only happened a handful of times in our nation's history. And in contemporary history, it hasn't happened all that much. And so when you look at President George W. Bush, he won his re-election. Bill Clinton won his re-election. Barack Obama won his re-election. And in many of those elections, including Barack Obama's elections, his poll numbers weren't all that great at this point in the election cycle. So when you're looking at the polling numbers, I think they're a little bit off. And I also think it's too early to take the polls to the bank, because as we look back at what happened in 2016, the polls were wildly wrong, especially in a state like Wisconsin. I mean, basically the polling in Wisconsin right now is identical to what it looked like 4 years ago, and Donald Trump won that state big, and that is a swing state.
With this COVID-19 lockdown, is it possible this could skew the people who actually show up and vote? Perhaps people will be discouraged from actually showing up to vote.
I think the COVID-19 factor actually hurts Joe Biden. And I think that your Joe Biden supporters aren't as fervent. They're not as excited. You don't see many people putting a Joe Biden sign in their front yard and proclaiming, hey, I'm a big supporter of Joe Biden. I'm so excited for him, because that individual doesn't exist.
So you mentioned Joe Biden. You mentioned him not having the enthusiasm. There's an enthusiasm gap between Joe Biden and the president. But what does Kamala Harris, the senator from California, what does she bring to the table?
I do think that she may at some point be a little bit of a problem for the ticket, because she was so critical of Joe Biden during the primaries. All of her negative comments towards Joe Biden will be brought up. They will be publicized by Republicans, and that may actually hurt Joe Biden quite a bit.
What is Joe Biden's number one weakness, do you think? What is his Achilles heel, would you say?
I think Joe Biden's biggest weakness is his age. I mean, we have President Donald Trump, who's in his mid-70s, but very vibrant guy. Joe Biden's about 77 years old, and he's somebody who doesn't seem vibrant at all. He doesn't seem all together when he's giving speeches. When he was during the debates with other Democrats, I think he's going to melt down during the debates against President Donald J. Trump, and that might be the end of his campaign. And I think also with the fact that Democrats, many of them are looking at Kamala Harris as a potential future president, shows that people don't have confidence that Joe Biden can even serve an 8-year 2 terms as president if he gets elected for a first term. So I think Joe Biden, his health is the biggest problem. The fact that he's not out there, he's not doing press conferences, he's not out and about doing enough media interviews. He's not doing enough to show that he can handle the job, whereas Donald Trump, who's just a few years younger than him, is doing an interview every day. He's doing press conferences almost on a daily basis. The guy, nobody would say that he's not up for the job, but almost all Americans have a deep concern that Joe Biden may not be ready to be president.
Brian Darling, former Director of Communications for Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky and President of Liberty Government Affairs, thank you for talking to us on One America News. It's good to catch up with you.
Thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.